All right. So we are now recording, just so you know. So this first chapter and that is just basically an introduction. I need you to get ramp up, okay? Basically, is what I'm saying. Be able to get into NetBeans, be able to know how to save your stuff, get some of the terminology down before we move on. So that's what we're going to do today. I doubt that we'll be here for the full 2 hours or that, or hour and 45 minutes, whatever it is. Um, so, yeah, that's what we're going to do. And so we will accomplish that. So, once again, I'm going to start sharing my screen with you guys. Again, you're more than welcome to talk. If you have questions, our class is very informal. As far as what you call me, Doug is fine. Some students, because of cultural things, prefer Professor. Professor Peterson is fine. Stuff like that. I'm not that, you know, I'm not the a sage on the stage kind of guy, where uh, you don't have to call me Mr. Peterson or that. Although I'm probably older than most of you guys' grandparents. Okay. So here's actually even an example of the rectangle program. Um, Again, a video on how to submit, that kind of thing. Here's that 11 out of 11. You have to remember, get on this test this week, okay? And then we're going to skip over here. And again, you're always going to want to use ANT when you're creating your programs for me. Make sure you read over the first chapter sometime this week. Here's the stuff we did the other day. I sent you the email, I emailed you the link, but here's the link again over what we talked about in Blackboard. And so you have these three programs, they're each worth 10 apiece, and you got your biography. So after this week, you already should have 40 points or somewhere in there, okay? Let's take a look at the rectangle program, okay? You guys are hearing me, right?
Yeah.
Good. Thank you for answering. I'm going to boost up I'm also like hard of hearing here for some reason. There. Hopefully that's louder. All right. So I'm going to open my NetBeans, and this is what it comes up as. And I'm looking at it going, okay, now what do I do? You know, well, all the time you're going to go over here above, over up on top in your menu bar. You just click on File and then New Project. Or there's always more than one way to do things. You can click on here and you get the same thing, okay? Again, can you tell I live next to the fire department? I was on the fire department. Now I'm the trustee of the fire department. Um, and I did get them to turn off the siren from 10 at night to 6 in the morning because we really don't need it. We all have beepers, and it actually, all the calls come over our phones. Um, but for let's just say they say it's a tradition, so they keep blowing it, and it only bothers me when I'm in the middle of a movie and starts going off, or my dogs are outside. So you can start a new project in either one of those ways. Okay, click there. So we'll want to make sure that we've selected Java Ant. You don't necessarily have to click on Java app over here, but you can if you want. Don't put anything in the filter up here. That's not the name where the name goes. Then you hit next. Now, this is where we enter the name. And your names, what I want you to do with your names is they should be book title capitalization without any spaces. Okay. So I'm just going to make up a name here. I'm going to call it my Acme rectangle calculator or something like that. And you can see here that each subsequent word has a capital, begins with a capital for readability. But I don't put spaces in. If you put spaces in, then you're stuck with, it's going to automatically put periods in there. The next thing down is on, you should be able to see, is where it's going to save on your computer, your programs. By default, it's going to save them to your documents. It's created, when you installed NetBeans, it created a directory underneath your documents tab. Like when you go into your files, there's a subdirectory called documents. If you look in there now, there's one that's called NetBeans. And by default, that's where it'll save them to. If you want to change that, you can always browse and save them to wherever you want. The other stuff down here, leave alone, but both of these should be checked. Both of these check boxes should be checked. And then we hit finish. And we're going to get the basic template of the program once it runs here. Okay. And in reality, the program is all ready to run. In other words, I can press the run button up here. Nothing's going to happen except it's going to print out that I built it successfully. Okay. So the program actually ran, it compiled, ran, and did what it was supposed to do. Over here in my project window, let me move this over a little bit. You can see if it comes up, if you start a new one and it comes and you just see this, sometimes what you'll have to do is expand these out and click on this last one or double click it to get your program to come up. Now, this program is stored in something called a package right here. Okay. And you'll see right here, it says that this program is in this package. This line here, this line, the package line. Oh, come on. My typing is off this morning. The package line in NetBeans always must be the first, God, I can't type, executable line of the program. Okay? Because it has to know where the files are. Because later on, we're going to have multiple files saved in the package. Okay? So if they're not in there, then we have to go, the program has to tell where those files are. Okay, but don't worry about that now. Just remember, you can't have anything above that line that isn't a comment. So we're going to put our comments in, okay? And these are required on every program you do for me. You have to have these lines. So you have to have one that says project. And this is, we said it's the Acme rectangle calculator. Okay. And if you see this / splat or asterisk, nerds, we call those splats instead of asterisks. Oh, there goes another one. And down here is the close of it. So anything between those two is a comment. It won't get executed by the program. This one down here is an inline comment. You see the two slashes, /. That's also a comment and will never get executed by the program. So 2 ways to do comments. And then this has to say this, and then, so this is, what is the file name? for this class that we're writing here. So this is a calculator dot Java. There's a dot Java on the end of that. Here, I'll show you. This is the actual file it's being saved at. And then we have the date today. So you can do this any format you want. So if you just want to put 2/11/2021, that's fine. If you want to put 11 February 2021, that's fine. It doesn't matter to me. The author will always be you. Okay, not me. Unless your name is D. Peterson, that will be your name. And then the purpose of the program. Now, the purpose of this program is what it does. It's not to complete exercise 5 on page da 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 da. That's not what the program is. This program is going to calculate the perimeter and the area of a rectangle. Okay. So, and I forget, I had it somewhere here. Let's see here. Let me check. I think it's like 7 something. Yeah, 4.5 times 7.9. All right. So if we go back. All right. So here, the purpose. A program that uses numeric literals of short-term memory loss here. 4.5 and 7.9. Somebody remember that? 4.5 with 7.9 length to calculate the area and perimeter of a rectangle. So again, the purpose here is that. Once I have that done, you should do that first thing every program because you don't want to. That's a big point loser. If I go to your program and you don't have something like this, you lose a full. You go from a 10 all the way down to a 9. In other words, you go from an A to a B. Next thing I'm going to do is get rid of this. This is later on in your Java career. This is called Java Docs. It automatically documents your program. We're not going to do that this semester. So we're going to get rid of that. Don't need it. Anything that has like slash and 2 asterisks or 2 splats, you don't need. Okay. If it's, so I'm going to move that, get rid of this. And then we're going to indent. I'll show you here. Indentation is important, and I'm really a stickler about it. And I'll show you why here in a second. And you can tab like with your tab key, or you can go up here. See this right here? This is tab to the right. This is tab to the left. This is the comment stuff out. If I wanted to comment all that out, boom, there you go. I want to uncomment it, boom, it's done. All right. So we get rid of, so we got that lined up now. Now, the scenario, anything between this and this is inside of your class, okay, or in your program. Once you get to here, this is a procedure, your main procedure. Every program has a main, okay? It's a special type of procedure. Notice it's indented And notice that all of our code is going to go right in here when we start out. For the first several weeks, all your code will be between these two braces. Everything we're going to do has to go in between those two. Okay. And then we're going to add one other thing, a divider. Again, if I do that, it's a comment, right? And our programs are going to grow. So, but we want to get used to doing the stuff we're going to do. So later on, we're going to have more than one method, more than one main procedure. So I'm just going to call this void main. And this is just for readability. The two main things that we're worried about again are programmer friendliness and user friendliness. Okay. So this right here, what you got right now, I'll save it. This is the save button up here. Also in Java, whenever I run the program, it automatically saves. Okay, so if I was to go in here and change something, oh, I don't know if it'll kick that on. Yeah, it will. Okay, notice this, but if I come over here and click the run button, you can see that the save goes out because it knows it automatically saved over to where my program is. Saved in my file system.
I'm sorry, can you kind of explain that again?
Okay.
How you got to that?
Yeah. You mean the save?
Yeah, and like what exact like is the whole thing saving to that
Yeah.
specific?
Here, watch. I'm going to show you on mine. I just saved to my desktop like I told you before. Here's my folder, my NetBeans folder. Okay. Inside of it, I'm going to show it to you, but you don't ever need to go inside of it. Here's all the stuff that NetBeans puts in. That's why I have you using NetBeans. And then if I dig down in here, you can see there's a text file in there with my actual program. Java, your program in Java is really only a text file. You can see here, it's a notepad. Notepad can read it. So I could type it in Notepad. The problem with doing such would be that it wouldn't be an IDE, so it wouldn't tell you when you're making a mistake. Okay.
Yeah.
When we make a mistake using NetBeans or other like Eclipse or any of the others, it tells us that's what an IDE is. An IDE is an integrated development environment. And even though we're producing a Java file, which is really a text file, it helps us not make mistakes. Okay. Later on, when we go to save this to our portfolio, what you're going to do is you're going to come over here. You don't even have to open it. You go find the folder. It'll look like this. We're going to right click on it. And then we're just going to go down here and say send to, and then compress folder. And then you can put that in your portfolio. And I'm going to show you an example of it once we get to that point. Does that help you?
Yeah, it does a lot. Thanks.
Good. And again, as soon as I press this button to run it, if I needed to save, it would save it for me. It won't run it if it can't save it. All right. So here's our first program. This program, I'm going to tell you up front, is worthless. The only time this program would be worth anything is if we had a rectangle that's 4.5 wide and 7.9 long. Because I'm not going to require you guys to use variables for his first lesson. And if you know how to use variables, you can't use them yet. They're not introduced until chapter 2. So again, we have that knowledge leveling thing going on. So you have to complete these first programs by using literals. Now, what is a literal? A literal is just what it says it is. So 4.5 is a numeric literal. A program that uses that's an alphanumeric literal. Anything that you're not doing math with is an alphanumeric literal. Anything you're going to do math with is a numeric literal. All right, we're going to drop down here inside our main, inside the braces, and we're going to print something out. We're going to type system dot out. Now, again, this is case sensitive, okay? And then we're going to put print LN. That's not an I, it's an LN for print line. And then we're going to just do something like this. And all statements, okay, in Java end in a semicolon. And you will appreciate that if you get to Python, which I also teach. The statements are based on, there are no semicolons to tell you it's the end of the line. So everything is based on indentation. In Python, it will not let you do anything that isn't indented correctly. Here, I could, if I wanted to, it's bad programming, but I could move this out here. Whoops. I could do that. I could do, okay. So it doesn't matter as long as I have a semicolon at the end. Notice also when I don't have the semicolon at the end, I have a big red line here, okay? And if you hold your mouse over that without pressing it, it'll bring up some smart text that says, wait a minute, you're missing a semicolon. And we put one in and the red line goes away, okay? You shouldn't be turning in programs that have red lines or red. You'll also pop up a red dot over the number over here on the left-hand side. Any questions on that? But this is how we print. Okay. So now if I run it, you see the line, the Acme rectangle calculator. And again, I'm a big stickler about if I run the program and all it does is print out a number, how do I even know what it means? Okay. Again, you have to think what we're doing here is we're doing the job of about 3 different people. Okay. If I compare this to what we do in programming to building a bridge or a house, okay, you have several people involved. You have the person that's buying the house, you have an architect that specifies what to do, and then you have the builder himself. At a minimum, you have 3 people. So here we're kind of, as a student, we are acting as all 3 of them. So what you have to remember is if you're the user of this program, you don't know what's going, all you know is this part right here. Whatever's printing out here is the only thing you know as the user. So if all it does is print out a number, I don't know what that number is. It could be, how many fish in the sea. I have no idea unless it says something. So if you start your program with something that says, okay, this is the Acme, well, at least I have that much knowledge as the user. Okay. So it's important, again, that we want to make things user friendly. Okay, these comments I'm putting on this are just for your benefit. I wouldn't do them. The only time we normally put comments, other than the ones that are required up here, is if you're doing something that's out of the ordinary, if it isn't standard programming conventions. But I put them in so you guys can learn what I expect. Okay, so now we have this thing here. So we need to create print it out, right? So I'm going to say system.out.println and put a rectangle with a width of, and then I'm going to have a space there. Then I'm going to say space plus, and since we're using literals, I'm just going to type 4.5. Normally that'd be a variable, but we're not there yet. And then another quotes, a space. So there's a space after with the width of units and a length of, well, let's do this. I think I'm just going to leave that there and put in another. I don't want it running off the edge of the page. So we'll just put system.out.println and units and a length of plus, get rid of that thing, length of 7.9 plus space units will have the following. Okay. And then system.out.println. Perimeter. And then I'm going to put 4 in brackets here. Plus 7.9. And the reason I'm putting parentheses around it is just for readability. Well, not really, because I'm going to multiply here too. Right? So the order of operations would be I have to put those parentheses in, or it wouldn't work out. What it would do is do 7.9 times 2 and then add 4.5 to it. And that's, of course, not what we want. Perimeter, and then a space, and then linear units. Okay. And then our system.out.println, it'll have an area. And again, I want it to read right. I want spaces and where spaces normally would be and stuff like that. Again, to make it user friendly. I you know, we want it to look nice. So you always check your programs after you're done with them. So then this one is going to be just 4.5, and we use the splat for multiplication. 7.9 plus Adding words together is called concatenation. Okay. And I think that should run. And there you go. And it should read a rectangle with a width of 4.5 units and a length of 7.9 units will have the following: a perimeter of 24.8 linear units and an area of 35.5 4 square units. Don't worry about how many decimal places. We'll fix that in the near future. I'll show you how to fix that.
So the multiplication symbol in between 4.5 and 7.9 on line 22. So is there always spaces in between those?
You don't have to have them, but I put them in for readability.
Yeah. And
Okay.
also, what's the I noticed that you're putting semicolons in front of perimeter and area. Is that also for readability or is that as like
So
syntax?
you mean after them
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My bad.
right there?
Yeah.
No, that's just for readability.
All right,
It
cool.
doesn't, again, anything that's yellow here doesn't do anything. I could put dog poop in there if I wanted to, right?
Okay. Yeah.
If anything, because those are just alphanumeric literals, or we call them strings. Okay. So anything in between the quotation marks has no effect. It just prints it out. Whatever I put in there, that's what it prints. So you can see here, I have a colon and then I have a space. And that's so when I run it, I have see here, it has a colon and a space. If I don't put that in, then my 24.8 would be up against my perimeter and that would look crappy, right?
Yeah.
And notice all my spacing is correct. My spelling, do I check spelling? Yes, I do. Because would you buy, if you went in and both in your program and your output, I wouldn't buy a program if I was a purchaser and I went to somebody and to have them write a program for me. And I came to check it and there was all kinds of spelling errors. What kind of confidence would you think I would have that their program's going to run right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'd be very hesitant to pay them if I have to go back in and fix a bunch of spelling errors.
Yeah, just
Right.
professionalism. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the bottom line. You want to, you want to be a professional if you're going to do this. Okay. And every semester, I will tell you this, every semester, you're going to do a program from where it converts Celsius to Fahrenheit in temperatures, for example. Every semester, I get out of each class, I'll get 2 or 3 people that misspell Celsius. Some even misspell Fahrenheit. Also, like the money nickel, I'll get all the time people be spelling nickel wrong. Well, you can't do that. Not if you want to do it for a living. Okay. So if you get points off for spelling, or if you're not a good speller, go and look them up. God, I do it all the time. Okay. If I'm not sure about a spelling, um, I definitely look it up. So my program started with a banner. And so now I'm just going to close it out with a banner, something that says that to the user, the program is done. Is this required? Not really, but and as our programs get longer, so that's for the user to know the program is done. Down outside of everything, okay? In other words, I'm outside of the class now. I'm going to just put this in. So that means they don't have to like scroll down past that point to see if there's anything down below that. And that's basically the solution for the calculator program. Once again, see here, it hasn't been saved yet. If I run it, I got to click on it. There, you can see it's been saved now. And you can see here's our little program here. And again, this program isn't very useful because we used literals. And as we go through the semester, you should, we're going to get rid of basically literals um, unless it's a constant like pi. You know, we'll probably use 3.14159 for pi. Well, that's a constant. You can't, you know, it doesn't change. And we'll talk more about variables are just spaces in memory. We store things or we store data that's going to change during our programs. So it's going to allow users to put stuff in and then calculate. I mean, just think of how much more useful this program would be is if the user entered the width and the length. Then the program's a lot more useful. You can use it on any rectangle. But right now it's not very useful because we put these literals in. So we're going to get rid of those down the road. What else was I going to say about that? Yeah. So basically, we're going to talk about that next week, and then you'll be able to use variables in your programs. And all the variables will have a data type. Okay. The main ones that we'll be using will be int for whole numbers and double for floating point. Now, all the ones we're using here, so here's an integer, right? All the other numbers are floating point. That means they have decimal places. The 2 is the only one that is not a floating point. Okay. We use double for money too, also. Anytime you have currency, we will use a double for that. So I think this program meets our requirement of being user friendly and of, well, as much as it can with the literals and being programmer friendly. We've got our um, documentation, internal documentation. Again, if in the future you might have to write programs for a company and we have something called reusability. Well, if I'm writing a program this year and let's say I have to calculate the tensile strength of the steel on a McCluggage bridge, okay, so that program, so I create a program that will develop or will calculate out the tensile strength. And then let's say next year we have another contract to figure out the steel on the Bob Michael bridge. Okay. Well, my employer is probably not going to want me to rewrite the whole program again. They're going to say, go get the program we had from the McCluggage Bridge and change it to the Bob Michael Bridge, right? So we have something called reusability. So that's one of the things we also look at in this class. Um, yeah. All right. So that's your rectangle program. And that's how it should look. Again, for those of you who know how to program, again, you can't use variables yet till next week. So I'm going to go ahead. Don't, a lot of students sometimes they'll just open, like I can open up another program and they'll have them running down the whole side here. I'll go to their computer or they'll show me their computer and they'll have 20 programs running down the side here. Once it saves, there's no reason to really leave it up here. You just right click on the name of the program and then you can close it and boom, it's gone for now. Notice it's right here if I want to bring it back. Okay. The next one I want to show you, I'm going to just show it to you before we leave today, is let's go to File, New Project. And again, make sure I'm in Ant. Click Next. And this one I'm going to call 4-letter word. And again, this is kind of a silly program, doesn't do a whole lot. And hit Finish. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and put in my internal documentation of project 4-letter word. Notice up here in my project name, I do put the spaces in, but when I put this, which is the file name, it doesn't have spaces. And then of course the date is once again, and I could put 11 Feb 2021. Again, doesn't matter. Author is me. And and again, some people just put name, whatever. Author I took from COBOL programming. Okay. And once again, I'm going to clean this up a little bit. Move my brace down. Again, I like having them where I see this brace here and I go all the way down to here to see its matching brace because they have to match. There has to be a set of them. Okay. And as you work, sometimes the program will add some or delete some. You might delete one by accident, or you get one here. I'll add an extra one here and you'll see. Oops. And then all of a sudden, you have an error down here. Okay. And you're pulling your hair out going, well, what's wrong with my program, Doug? And it's just that you have one here. Now this one's matching. This one doesn't have a match anywhere. That's why it's red. Okay. So you'd get rid of that eventually here. And now my program's fine again. So I'm going to delete this, put in a cute little divider here, 2 slashes. And again, I don't care if you use equal signs or whatever you want to put. Void main. All right, something like that. Once again, I'm inside the program now. This is where all my code's going to go. And this one is nothing more. The book gives you the example. They print Java. Okay. So if I'm going to print something, and this is kind of like a hit and miss thing, I'll tell you up front, you probably won't get it the first. You're going to have to go back in and manipulate stuff. So I'm going to spell Java, or I'm going to start to anyway. So I'm going to say system.out.println, and then this, and then I'm going to start. And so I'm going to type J, 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 J. And I'm going to move over a little bit. And I'm going to put my A, top of my A. And then move over a little bit and put a V. Move over a little bit more, put another V, and then move over a little bit more. And you can spell your name if it's 4 letters or whatever, or other words. Let's keep it adult or user. Let's keep the words in the, not some of, You know what I mean? Certain four-letter words. So let's see, this will be about here. You would think that's where it would be anyway. And then maybe an A here, and maybe a V here, and then once again, an A here, and an A here. Now, do you see what I'm doing? I'm drawing Java. So, but when I run it, I'm all over the map, right? You can see here the J's way out of whack. So the first thing I'll do is I'll move that over a little bit. And that should bring my A back over too, I think. It's closer. The J's okay. Now I need to take out some of the spaces here. So it's not an exact science. What you see is definitely not what you get, right? So here I got my A is almost okay. I could probably move them in a little bit, couldn't I? My V here is too, so I need to move that over a little bit. So I'm going to move this, put an extra space there. And let me see what it looks like. Okay, so it, and again, if you can even tell what it is, I'll be happy, okay? So let's put another space here, and I think that's should straighten us out. Okay, so that's cool. So then I can do the next line. So it'll be system.out.println. And then maybe this one will be, it might be too many A's. I don't know. Yeah, we'll put them in and see what happens. And then this one will be, try that. And let's see what that looks like. Okay, you can see here this, my J's okay. My A's need to move over. So let me move them, and then we'll see if in fact it helps the other. No, I don't have enough A. All right. My A on the row above is too wide. So I need to take out a space here. Let's see what that does. Still wide. Why is that? I need a space here. Yeah, that's better, I guess. Put another one here. Okay. So the J and the A there are okay. I need to move my V over some. My V over some. Maybe one more, huh? There you go. And then this A needs to move over probably two. Well, maybe three, huh? Or it needs another. Oh, it needs another A. That's what's wrong. The end. Okay. So you can see what I'm doing, right? I'm just spelling Java. So let's, I'll just do one more. I don't want to take too much more of your time here showing you how to spell, but I think you'll get the idea. If this thing keeps popping up, you hit escape and it'll go away. All right, so I'm going to put, I wonder if I'm going to be able to do J here. Let's see what that looks like. Then this is going to just be an A there and an A there. And then this should be VV. And then this one again was no more than an A here and an A here. I think I'm going to put a space right here and see what that looks like. Yep, I like that better. Whoa, my A over here went wacko, huh? See, the space, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't know why you can't. It's not what you see is what you get, for sure. How can these be that close when, yeah, that ain't too bad. The V could come back one more. Let's see what that looks like. And then my A is kind of goofy. So it needs to, once again, come back. One more there. And that would suffice. Okay. So now all I need to do is tell the user what it is. And then come down. Looks pretty good. Save it, run it. Print the word Java, boom, boom, boom. So that would work for me. That would get you another 10 points. So now I'm all done doing those two. I go ahead and exit out of Java. And you can see here's my two programs, right? So all I'm going to do is right click on it, send to compress folder. If you don't have that compressed folder thing, you need to install 7-zip or something similar to that that you can zip up program. So then I'm going to zip this one. And you can see here on my icons, there's a zipper on them. Okay. So I know those are zipped. Then I come over here to my program Blackboard, I click on the one where it says portfolios. I go to my portfolios, and I didn't put you guys, you're going to have to wait a few minutes after the class to put your stuff in there because I forgot to do it again. Darn it. I'll show you again in the one that's running here. Go to your portfolio. I'll find an empty one here. And then you go to add file, and then you can say whatever it is, 4-letter word. Notice I don't have to put my name in it because it's your portfolio. Then you browse for it, go to your desktop or wherever it's being saved. See here, documents. You can look here. See, the default is that they'd go into this NetBeans project here under documents. I just have mine moved to the desktop. Okay. So then I find my program, the zipped one, 4-letter word, and I click open. And you can see here it has 4-letter word. I hit submit. And there it is down there in the portfolio. And again, if you can see it in your portfolio, so can I. Okay, so can I. Also note, if this is ever 0 or 36 like this is, there's something wrong. The number, just the program itself, okay, will be over 10,000 if I didn't even do anything, okay? So, yeah, if you ever want to get rid of any of them, you can do that. You just click on delete here and it'll be gone. So in other words, if I was to click this, click delete, do I want to delete it? Yes, I do. And it's gone. If I want to get back into this file, I can right click it, save the link to wherever I want to save it to. Let's see. I'm not going to be able to save it to my desktop, just my plain desktop, because I already have a file named that, I think. So if I hit save now, it's going to just say that. But let's say I did do that. And then I say yes. Okay. So now it's saved back to my desktop. And I would come over here, and to work on it, I would have to right click it, go to 7-zip, and extract it here. Okay. And then it would come back to where I could work on it. All right. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And we're back to where we started. I'm going to stop recording.